Why do you need to be in here right now?
It's my performance review.
Yeah, okay, I guess. Yeah, fine. Sure. Come on. It's fine. Hold on, I'm getting another call over here. 1 second. Dougie, the Velociraptor. What's going on, man? Were you at catch last night? Uh-oh, he's a party animal. Uh-oh. Hey, what are we doing tonight, man? Tipsy Tuesday. Let's get crazy. I want to go to the hospital. I will go to the hospital. Once. Can you stop breathing so loud? I'm on the phone. I need you to shut up. Yeah. How's your mom doing, by the way? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah. All right, I gotta go. I got this. What is this? You're interviewing?
It's my performance review.
Performance review. I don't know. So, tell your mom I said sorry. I'll talk to you soon. All right? All right. Take it easy. This guy's crazy. Okay. Yearly performance review. Let's. So, what do I give you a number score, or how do we do this? What is this? How does this work?
I don't know. You set this up.
Okay, we'll figure it out. So, how do you think you're doing this year, Brian?
My name's Brendan. You hired me.
That's what I said. Now, don't dodge the question, Desmond. How do you think you're doing so far?
I think I'm doing okay.
Okay.
I don't.
Now, that's exactly how I'd put it, is okay. A lot of improvement needs to happen. A lot to improve upon, okay?
Sure. I mean, I'd love some feedback. That's why I'm here.
Okay. Well, don't interrupt me. Then, maybe.
I didn't know you were still talking.
That's going to go in now. Interrupts every single person he talks to. Desmond does that.
Just because of what just happened now?
Let's just get into it. The first thing that I wanted to discuss is timeliness, okay? Now, I understand things are happening all the time. There's traffic, your wife... but we need you to be here when work starts. We need you to be here on time so we can meet our goals, okay?
I am on time. I'm here every day at 9 a.m.
Work starts at 8:30 now.
It does?
Yeah.
No one told me that. How am I supposed to know that?
It's been that way for about 6 months.
What?
Yeah.
Was there a memo? No one told me.
You should be getting a memo in a few weeks. We're a little backed up on memos right now.
Okay, well, I don't know how I'm supposed to show up on time if I don't even know what time is the right time.
Next up, projects. So last week's assignment, you kind of fell short. Why do you think you weren't able to do a better job on that?
Well, honestly, I feel like you gave me an impossible task. You asked me to make a sequel to Moana. I've never even seen that movie. I don't know how to do voices. I don't know how to do animation. And we're an accounting firm. Why are we trying to make a movie? I feel like that's a terrible allocation of resources.
Okay, here's what I'm hearing is a lot of excuses. This is where I am, and this is where you are. You don't know about what's happening on the highest levels of the company. I do. So when I ask you to do something, you do it. You don't ask why. You ask, why didn't you ask me this sooner? That's what I want to hear.
All right. Well, it was a very confusing couple weeks for me. I just didn't know.
All right. Well,
okay.
Let's see what else we got here. Now, this says that I'm supposed to ask you if you have any feedback for me. But that doesn't sound right. So I think we're good.
No, actually, I do have a few things I would like to mention.
Is this going to take a long time, or what do we...
I'll try to keep it short. Okay. I just wanted to say I've been working 12, 14 hours a day. I bust my ass here. I'm a little burnt out. I feel like I need a little time off.
Mm-hmm. You just went to Miami.
That was last year. That was for my uncle's funeral.
Are you sure?
Yes, you made me take a Zoom meeting during the eulogy. My aunt was very upset.
Okay. Well, what about that whole year that you spent working from home? We were so flexible about that.
Are you talking about COVID? Everyone was working from home. That wasn't a vacation.
Then why was everybody making bread all the time?
Is that what you think people do on vacation? They make bread? Is that what you do on vacation? What are you talking about?
All right.
Making bread.
Let's just go to the next thing. What else do you need to talk about?
All right, well, my team is completely untrained.
What's that?
My team, they're completely untrained. I had all these people, and then they quit. They're gone. New people come in. They're here for a couple of weeks. They quit. The turnover here is so high, we can't get in the swing of things.
Why do you think so many people are leaving?
Honestly, I think it's because of you.
I don't think there's any way to know that for sure. I don't think there's any way to know a thing like that.
What about a couple of weeks ago when people came up to you and they said, "We're quitting, and it's because of you"?
I don't remember that. I'm very busy. I don't have time for memories. So it's not... I don't remember.
All right, let's just go to the next thing.
Okay.
I've noticed that this company has been paying women less than their male counterparts for the same position. Honestly, I feel a little uncomfortable about working at a place that does that and knows that they're doing that.
Okay, we don't pay women less, we pay men more. Okay? So that's where you're mistaken. All right? And not only that, we're thinking about getting some kids in here, and that's going to be more money for everybody. Okay? Have you heard of the Philippines?
Have I heard of the Philippines?
It's what they have kids over there. They'll do whatever, man.
Okay, well, again, we do accounting. Can these kids do accounting?
No.
All right, well, I'm going to be replaced by a kid. Okay, the last thing I just wanted to say is I don't know what the hell my goals are. I mean, every day you come in and you go to the whiteboard and you just write, get after it. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. You write results. I don't know what I'm getting after. It would really help me if I had clear objectives and goals so I know what I'm...
I've heard enough, all right? I'm a good manager. I know. I went to a 48-hour management boot camp. Yes, I got it on Groupon, but guess what else? The guest speaker was Tim Tebow, so it couldn't have been that bad.
Tim Tebow, the football player.
No, the management trainer. This is over, all right? Here's the bottom line and the headline and the lines in the middle. I need results from you, all right? You need to step up the game, step up your game. That's all that this is, all right? So hold on, I'll get another call over here. Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh, okay. I understand. Yeah. That was HR.
Oh, were you fired?
Fired? No, I've been promoted. I'm gonna go to the movies. So, good luck with whatever you got going on, Barbara.
Oh.
And see you around. It doesn't have to be like this. Over the last year and a half, we have interviewed over 400 leaders that manage somebody. Every single one of them, we asked them, what's the average amount of time it took you in your first stint as a manager to get to a point where you were being effective? The average answer was 13 months. Managers aren't getting the support and the skills that they need in order to support people. And a lot of those conversations and those gaps happen behind closed doors and one-on-one settings. I've never heard a story of anybody who had all of those things all together, but little bits and pieces of what just happened up here come from inspiration from real stories that we got from managers. So food for thought. How about one more round of applause? Thank you. The reason we're all here is about the future of work. It's a weird and exciting moment in time with the super cycles of technological innovation happening right now. This morning, I was at an event that was supposed to be about cybersecurity. And what I was amazed by was how many conversations we had about trust and organizational culture and stress. So this is permeating within every single space because we're overwhelmed. We're more overwhelmed than we've ever been. The rate of technology innovating has advanced so rapidly that socioculturally we can't keep up. We're losing a sense of structure and safety. And the only way that gets rebuilt is the way that we have always rebuilt it, which is as groups of people together. Sydney, our chief of staff, has this phrase that she loves to use all the time, which is,
oh no, what is it?
you might not have it all together, but together we have it all. And so tonight we're here to explore story together. We're going to explore some personal stories. I hope that already you've gotten to connect with some folks and had some conversations that have been exciting, feel like they get to open up a little bit. And we're going to dive into a little bit of Marie's story, who I'll tell you a little bit more about in a moment. First, I want to introduce you to one of our sponsors. Othership is transforming the world of emotional wellness with immersive breathwork and bathhouse experiences. The science that we've
uncovered through the last few decades about mindfulness and the breath and the need to intentionally be in our bodies in ways that create safety is no longer a question. The question is now about implementation. How do we weave this in systemically? We can't all just take a retreat for a week every month. And so how do we do this? Should we all be meditating for an hour and a half every morning? Should we be weaving it into one-on-ones? The answer is dynamic. It depends on what your space is, what your organization is, what kind of family or partnership or life you want to live. What we do know is important is that when you practice things together, your practice multiplies. And whatever you practice in your life is more of what you become. And so right now, we're just going to take a moment together to just settle in and deepen and open up to whatever it is that Becca from Othership is going to invite us into. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Yes. They told me that it looks like these mics aren't. So you'll just have to project
Okay.
this out.
This. Okay. Great. Thank you. Right. Get hooked up here. Cool. All right. Hi, everyone. My name's Becca, and I'm from Othership. I am working with them on the events and partnership side, as well as I'm a guide at their bathhouse. Currently, it's an immersive sauna and ice bath experience. So just a quick tidbit, and then again, I'll keep it short, and if you have any questions, I will be right at that table and have some goodies for you all. But we have in real life experiences and online experiences to help with emotional regulation and community building. So we have an app called the Othership app where we have hundreds and hundreds of breathwork sessions from 5 minutes to an hour-long breathwork session to help with emotional regulation. I actually was working at another company before Othership and using the Othership app every single morning, 5 minutes instead of doing an hour-long yoga practice, and really kick-started my day every day. You can also, we have down sessions, which are more calming sessions you can use for sleep. And then we have what we call all-around sessions, which are more those 30-minute, hour-long sessions, which are emotionally regulating, takes you up and down. And that's the same way our sauna and ice bath facility physically. We'll be opening in Flatiron in July, so really soon. We've been doing a bunch of pre-launch classes, and those are actually sauna and ice bath classes where we guide you through an emotional regulatory experience in the sauna and the ice bath in community. We encourage belonging, we inspire awe with lights and essential oils and off-gus towel waving. So highly, highly encourage you to come check that out. I'll give you a free class over there. I'll hand you a little flyer, and then we're also going to email you a pass for a free month to our breathwork app. So, all that out of the way, we're going to dive into some breath work, and I'm going to guide you through about a 5-minute session. Just to preface, with this style, it's upregulated, it's grounding, so it's totally normal to feel a little tingly in your body, maybe a little lightheaded. That's okay, that's just the signals sending through your body. If you feel like you want to come back to your normal breath at any time, feel free to do so, but we encourage you to just breathe deeply as you can for about 5 minutes, and it will be to one song. So with that, I'll invite everyone to just close their eyes. Start tuning into the rhythm of your natural breath. And maybe check in with yourself, one word of how you're feeling. Let's take a big breath together. Inhale through the nose. Exhale. Let it go. All right, here we go. Starting our journey. So welcome to your upregulated breathwork session. This breathwork is designed to get you into a heightened state of awareness, to feel into your power and pure bliss in the shortest amount of time. So we'll be sitting up tall, spine tall, feet grounded. We'll be doing 2 rounds of upregulated breathing with a hold on empty after each round. Breathing as fully and as deeply as you can. In and out through the mouth. We'll be starting with a 4-count breath on my cue. In 3, 2, 1, and in 3, 2, 1, and out. 3, 2, 1. In 3, 2, 1, and out. 3, 2, 1. In and out. Staying with it. In and out. On my cue, we're picking it up to a 2-count breath. In 3, 2, 1, and in, 2, out, 2, in, out, fully, deeply, out, picking it up to a 1-count breath on my cue. In 3, 2, 1, and in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, continuing like this, building your inner fire, increasing vitality, increasing oxygen, increasing energy, stick with it, out, in, out, yes. Taking a big breath in on my cue. In 3, 2, 1, and take it in. Take it up. Maybe lift those hands to the sky, squeezing it to your head, maybe feeling a little tingly. And exhaling. Taking it back in on my cue. In 3, 2, 1, and taking it in, taking it up, lifting those hands high to the sky, squeezing it at the top, tensing up all your muscles, and releasing, letting it go. We're gonna hold on empty here, holding at the bottom, feeling into that blissful state. Where do you feel the most energized in your life right now? Resting in it. Getting ready to start ramping back up with a 2-count breath. This is going to be a little bit shorter section and a little bit faster breath. So getting ready, returning to your normal breath. Maybe finding the beat of the music. 2-count breath, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, and in, 2, out, 2, in, 2, out, 2, good, in, out, all the way. Deep breathing in fully through the belly, and out, taking it in. Feeling this beat, recognizing your circumstance, your energy, the bliss, picking it up to a 1-count breath. In 3, 2, 1, and in, out, in, out, in, out, good, in, out, staying with it, fueling your fire, few more rounds, tapping into your energy, getting ready for a big breath in, last one, squeezing it at the top, here we go, on my cue, in 3, 2, 1, and take it in, Take it up, bring your arms high to the sky, squeeze your fists, squeeze all the energy to your head, tense up your muscles. And let it go. Holding on empty at the bottom here. Feeling into all that oxygen we just built up. Resting in the stillness. Recognizing the energy you just built up all by yourself. No coffee, no nothing. Just you, here, now. And we'll return to our normal breath. Maybe a smile, maybe a check-in, another word on how you're feeling now. And we'll begin our session.
Let's go.
Hard to sit down for that one. So that was a breathwork in the style of our app. That was an example of an upregulated breathwork session to give you energy, like a shot of espresso, and that was 5 minutes. So yeah, again, 5 minutes to an hour on the app, and come chat with me after if you have any questions.
Thank you, Becca. Could we get just a few people to raise your hand and just name 1 or 2 words of how you're feeling in this moment? Please.
Aware and alert.
Aware and alert. Thank you. Thank you. Please. Limitless.
Yes.
Beautiful. 2 more.
Expanded.
Expanded. Last one. Please.
Amazing.
Amazing. I would bet on this group. If someone came in with a mission, I don't even know what the mission would be, but I would bet on us in this moment. Which is good, because we're about to go on a journey together. And when we think about the challenges that are facing us today, one of the things we talked about at this event we were at this morning was overwhelm. There are so many things that we just don't even address. We stay focused on our sort of narrow little space because it can feel so overwhelming to look just beyond it. And there's a reason for that. And it's because things that are really difficult and complex are not challenges we're meant to solve alone. We're wired to solve them together. That's how we have always moved through them. And so we're the loneliest human beings the world has ever seen, dealing with more stimuli than any human has ever had to deal with, competing for their attention. Of course we're overwhelmed. And so then how do we move through those challenges? How do we create new solutions that structure a new way of working and living? The answer is together. And so even just this event, we want to just take a moment to really express gratitude for the sponsors that made this possible. Othership we named, they were a big part of this experience coming together. The food we have Chopped and we have Pilot Kombucha that were kind enough to supply that food, and which was supported by Time Century. Is Joseph here? No, but Taylor is here. If you have questions about Time Century, you can see Taylor. They're doing really amazing things for utilizing AI to help people track time and minimize the cost of task switching and that's impact on your energy throughout the day. Some of our other sponsors are Upflex, and they're doing some really amazing things as far as cultivating spaces and community, especially around New York. If you have questions about what Upflex is up to, please talk to Ginger. Ginger's right there waving. I'm going to look at other. I'm trying to do this all from memory. Other sponsors we've got Capsulite. They are one of the goodies in your goodie bag, which you will grab on your way out today. They're doing really amazing things for hydration and recovery, and for those that imbibe with alcohol, they have this like pre-game recovery thing that you can take to like get better sleep. And so they're really exploring that space. And my co-founder Matthew goes way back with their founder, and so we really just have a lot of fun getting to collaborate with them. Am I forgetting anybody? Element. How can I forget Element? On that table, you will see I have poured out all of the Element packs that we got. My hope is that the table is empty. So if you would like electrolytes in your life, stuff your pockets, stuff your backpacks, however many you'd like. Element is our favorite electrolyte brand.
Matthew and I are really frustrated with each other if we walk in the morning and our office is empty of elements. We try to always keep it fully stacked. We love them, so they sponsor us. We sponsor them right back. So just want to take that moment to thank all of them. We really believe that transforming the future of work is something that will take many, many partnerships.
Alfred.
So yes, last one. Thank you, Sydney. This is our dynamic. Sydney actually makes me productive. Keeps me in line. This space is provided by Alfred, and so they have this entire 33rd floor, which is also available for other events. So please come see me. In our email we'll send out afterward the way to contact them. I can also give you their email. So if you think you know somebody that might be interested in using this space, they're open to all sorts of inquiries. Is that everybody? Okay, on to the main event. Okay, I'm really excited for this conversation. Marie, would you join me up here? About a round of applause for Marie Gomez. Marie, how are you feeling? Just a
After
quick.
that breath work, amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Sydney wrote this bio for me. Sydney, thank you.
Marie wrote it and sent it to me. And I sent it to you.
See, this is teamwork.
Team-based.
And some trusted advisors in my network helped me write it. So it's
Teamwork. So Marie Gomez is an accomplished human resources executive with over 15 years of experience, much of it spent at Goldman Sachs. Throughout her career, she has established herself as a strategic HR leader who excels at diagnosing organizational challenges, crafting effective strategies, and leading teams to implement impactful solutions. She is known for her empathetic approach and ability to drive meaningful change. Marie has lived in 4 different countries. She is a longtime yoga practitioner and loves to talk about good food. She holds an MBA from IE Business School in Madrid and currently resides in Jersey City with her partner and 2 young children. Marie, welcome to the Work 4.0 podcast.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's really exciting to be here. Thank you, Matt, Matthew, Sydney, everyone. Thank you.
I'm really curious, listening to that bio, which I don't know about you, I always feel very uncomfortable if I'm like sitting or standing
Super
by and someone's giving me a bio. I'm curious for you, what was missing from that bio that you feel like if we were to poll some of the people that know you best, they would insist that we mention?
I did ask one of those people to help me write it, knowing I was going to leave some of those things out. Probably building on the empathetic approach and my superpower to sort of diagnose how people are feeling, how people are doing, and really leaning into building excellent teams and driving change. I'd probably double click on that a little bit. They would probably double click on that a little bit more.
Beautiful. Have you always had that?
Yeah. I'm one of those people. You probably know and are thinking many of the reasons it was formed, but from a young age, I've sort of had I can read the room quickly.
What did that look like in childhood of Marie?
Probably also always sort of wondering how everyone's feeling, how everyone's doing, and what's the next possible step that we're all going to take together. Just always reading the room.
Okay, so for me, we've talked a little bit about this. I was more of the like problem child, tear everything apart, but I was also always studying people, trying to figure out how they worked. And when I sort of think back to my childhood, there's 2 poles that I notice for the motivation of wanting to understand how people are working. One is like fear and confusion and trying to figure it out so I don't do things wrong. And then another is like curiosity and like the like drunken joy that can come from just like having like excitement and play with people and like getting to figure out how to connect more with people. And for me, I think it was like 70-30. Like 70% was like fear and trying to avoid doing things that would push people away. I'm curious for you, like, are those motivations within when you think about your childhood? And if not, what motivations are there?
Probably somewhat. There was a lot of, I'm a big sister. I'm the oldest. So there was, caretaker from 3.5 years old. And that magnifies, right? That just amplifies and magnifies. Looking out for people, trying to help, trying to organize, manage. It's a lot of that.
Yeah. So eldest sister. Mm-hmm. So this seems like a really fun point to then ask. Can you walk us to how you got into your career?
Just in general.
Yeah. How did Marie, who was in elementary school, already tapped into empathy, really interested in reading people, already having those like leadership characteristics and a sense of responsibility for her younger siblings?
Yeah.
How did she end up in the world of people ops and HR?
I have a vision of being on the George Washington Bridge at about 9 years old and seeing the skyline of New York City, growing up in the suburbs not far outside of New York City, and just thinking, this is where I need to be. I was like 9, and I knew it to be super true, that was like exactly where I needed to be, or at least in cities, for sure. And then evolved through, I guess, high school and school. The goal was to do well, study, and then eventually I got this like travel, see the world bug. That ultimately led me to some of my live abroad, work abroad, life abroad, explore abroad, find myself abroad.
Did those 4 countries happen one right after another?
No. One was in undergrad, like a summer, like a study abroad experience. 2 were back-to-back in sort of a reverse gap year after undergrad. And then 1 was business school abroad. A couple. So there were gaps in between. But I definitely got that out of my system and needed to explore. It was a deep pull. That was something I had to do.
And how long were each of those stints, and where were they?
Undergrad abroad was Costa Rica. Reverse gap year, as I call it, right after undergrad, I actually did work and it helped propel my career, but I like to call it a reverse gap year, was London and Dublin, and a lot of London, but Dublin was definitely in there, and then Madrid for business school.
So then, you today, if I'm sorry, I'm laughing at some of the questions I'm asking you, but I feel like you're gonna love this. So if not,
crossed.
we can take a turn anywhere. But if you were to take a look back as Marie today and look back at those experiences and think about that time spent in those countries at the ages that you were, and you were to pick like one lesson that came from those experiences that has really impacted your life thereafter, could you pull out 4 lessons for us, one from each? It doesn't have to be the biggest lesson, but just a big lesson from each.
If I put my mind to it, I can manifest quite a lot. That was definitely clear from the get-go, which sort of propelled me to have crazy and wild ideas to do some other things and say like, yeah, it sounds crazy. I want to do X, but like, why not? Like, I can sort of be and do whatever I want. We all can.
Yeah.
That was sort of a moment. I can remember walking down the street in London, like, I can be whatever kind of grown up I want to be. And sticking to that is hard, but it's true.
All right. So in London was this sort of deepening of the belief of, oh, wow, I can really do whatever I want. Like, things that I dream really could be possible. I could put effort into it and make amazing things happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the belief or the reality that you are who you are, you can build and grow and evolve. I didn't say change. And it's sort of yours to decide and to own.
I'm just for the record, I'm bookmarking and tucking, and we're going to circle back to the evolve versus change. All right, so we've got London.
We We got London. I guess Dublin would be like you can make the best of anything.
What happened in Dublin? And keep in mind, I'm asking because in 2 weeks I'm going to Dublin.
Oh, this was not in the prep call. What was that? Dublin just was nothing that I ever planned for or tried to plan for, and I probably took the biggest leap with little to no planning. I had been working in London. The company I was working for in London said they wanted to open an Irish office. I had spent a weekend in Dublin and came back and said, I could live there. I could spend a lot of time in that place. Like, can I have a job in that new office? And the exact line was, if you can figure out how to get yourself a visa, sure. Like, so I don't have to worry about that. And I figured it out.
Nice.
And it was all good and legit and all the things. And yeah, I packed my bag and I went to Dublin, and my living experience was hilarious and one time only. And the people I met and the type of work I was doing was very sort of scrappy, but I didn't care because I was just excited to be there. And I got a whole new like intercultural experience and sort of proof that if I manifest it, I just might be able to make it work.
Okay, so far we've got dreams are possible to bring into reality. Everything is figure-outable. And I can make the best of anything. All right, so that's Dublin and London. What else we got?
I guess actually going backwards, Costa Rica would have been like, I need to travel more. Like this life outside the United States thing is big, and connecting to my own like upbringing and multicultural background, like I need to travel. I need to see the world. That was definitely solidified there. And then in Madrid, it was truly about getting an education, but I wanted something that was very intercultural and very challenging. And I knew that, so many people said, but there's so many amazing schools right here in New York. Why are you going to leave New York to, go get more of an education? And my answer was, I really want an intercultural education as much as I want an education and the life experience that comes with that. And I feel like I have one more travel bug in me. And yeah, so the lesson there would be like, if you really, really want it, and I really, really wanted it, go.
Wow. Beautiful.
Thanks.
Those are powerful lessons.
Yeah. The other thing I would add is many people said to me at the time, like, you're not supposed to be doing this right now. You're supposed to be. That was a way to light my fire. And one of those underlying ones was, you're supposed to do that later in your retirement years, settle down. Aren't you going to be thinking about a family sooner than later? And fundamentally, what I really believed and felt at my core was like, I want these things to actually impact and influence me later in life, being a parent, for example, which I am now. So that mattered a lot to me.
Sure. I'm wondering now, after getting your MBA and that version of Marie, would she be surprised with what you've done with your career since then?
Satisfied, maybe not
Satisfied.
surprised. There's more to grow. There's more to do. Yeah.
So it sounds like when you came out of that MBA program, you knew you were going to go into HR for quite a while.
I did actually. It's not something people expect to come out of an MBA program, but I did get really
Yeah, what's up with that?
fascinated. I did. I became really fascinated with like the people side of the business and the people side of all the HBR cases we were reading. Like that's actually what I was drawn to.
Were there a lot of other people in your MBA program that were like also passionate about HR? Or
No,
did you
they
find
thought
yourself
I was
to be
so weird.
Okay. Okay.
No, they thought I was so weird. But I credentialized it in that I had an internship in HR during the program that I was able to get. And people were like, oh, you're really serious about that, huh? Yeah, I'm really serious about it. Might be crazy, but It worked out, kind of.
What do you think it was about HR that like was pulling at you?
I was really fascinated that like basically no company can run, widgets or otherwise, without humans. Like even if you are building widgets, and many companies aren't, you still need the humans. You still needed people. You still needed to figure out how to, deal with payroll taxes and, healthcare and all these details for the humans. And so that it just seemed like it was going to the core, the root cause of all things.
Yeah. I mean, business is about people.
Yeah.
You trace it back from both ends, and ultimately you'll find a person that's creating the value and a person that is receiving the value. It's a vehicle for transferring value from one group of people to another group of people, and we kind of like forget that.
It's like a given. It's like an assumption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I'm curious, from that moment, like when you were like the passionate HR girl going through the MBA program.
Woman.
Thank you. MBA woman going through that program. And people are like, she's kind of weird.
Yeah.
How has HR really changed since then?
How has HR changed? I think the tech has improved, but it was a pretty, basic place.
Where are the biggest improvements when you think about the tech within People Ops? Is there
There's a lot
anything
more
that works
options.
way better?
There's a lot more options.
A lot more options.
A lot more hungry, smaller organizations, a lot more disruption, an attempt at disruption. And I think that's interesting, really, really interesting. And if you look at the history of everything, you got to have disruption at some point, right? To make change. So I think that's really interesting. And I would call it a mild hobby to be, quite into HR tech and how that evolves.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so the tech is different.
I would say the way, and this is, my experience, my view, I would say the way that any HR organization is trying to think about itself and run itself, and everyone also acknowledging and making space for talking about the fact that there's like running the business, getting your everyday process execution, transactions, people emergencies sorted, managing that with, wrangling like strategy and, forward movement, and really being like a true partner to leaders. I think there's more acknowledgement that those are sort of conflicting, and that's a challenge, versus maybe earlier in my career, I saw everyone sort of just trying to survive the basics of process execution.
I wonder.
So running HR like a business.
Yeah. And this question may be a little unfair, so you can feel free to throw it back at me. But I'm wondering, from your perspective, from what you've seen with business leaders, what do you think has happened to the credibility of like a chief people officer or a people leader at the top? Is that something that has improved, where like CEOs and COOs that you've tended to interact with and that you've seen are having more respect for the role? Has that kind of fluctuated and gone up and down? Is it more of a graph up and to the right or down and to the right?
I think it's a hell yes. Like I think there's absolutely a lot more respect for the role, and that it's C-suite level, and it's, there's a seat at the table no matter what with the rest of the, C-suite and executive leadership.
What's the reason for that?
Probably also the evolution of how we've seen talent evolve, the generations evolve, the ways of working evolve. I literally can remember people saying, the millennials are coming. They're coming. They're going to work differently. And I don't know why people said it like it was such a big deal when it was like a blink of an eye ago. But everyone's completely grown now.
Now the Gen Zs are coming.
Exactly. Everyone works different. We're going to have to think about things different. And I think that's helped. I think everyone's had to like think and operate and work different. Obviously, broader tech advancement, like the iPhone, like all these things have, happened in the space of, right, just a couple of decades. And that's been, I think that's just changed the culture more broadly.
Yeah, there's something about what's just been happening
the
in our
working
modern
culture
world.
more broadly.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Like something about what's been happening in our modern world the last 2 decades that have really started to show the weak points and the blind spots of business leaders who aren't necessarily familiar with organizing groups of people or the sorts of things that someone might explore at like an HR conference. It's like there's been a turning on the lights of some of the things that you don't know. And yet I'm curious if we are to then think about some of the things that typical non-HR people don't know that they don't know. If we were to think, like, name some of those things, like what's what's really important that people in HR are pretty well aware of that other people might not think about that's really important for a business to function well?
Maybe how much work impacts people and like how much time people spend at work and how much people care about what happens at work and how that's going to transcend back to their life, whether it's, and that can be everything from, my manager is in a bad mood. And so that's affecting like me and my team and our work product or how we're feeling to thinking about how they're going to, curate the sponsorship for promotion and what that could mean for my family and my life and my, wealth potential.
Totally.
All of that is like probably what people think about, like 80% of their waking hours.
I feel like so many people leaders that I talk to feel like a core part of what they do functionally within the business is actually shelter other people from seeing that. It's like so much of that is highly visible within people ops, and yet then the only space where others are really seeing that is through communications from people ops and HR.
I would agree with that. I mean, it's literally helping people like, function day in and day out in terms of, there's getting work done and then there's helping people take care of themselves. And that within itself is like a wildly important business.
Yeah. Well, and I wonder if we could step a little bit into really thinking about the future and like the next 5, 10, 15 years. And we get to like play a little bit into prophesizing. What are some of the biggest challenges within the responsibilities of people ops today that you would really love to see solved or made better or better tools made to support?
Goes without saying, all the like evolving technologies will be amazing for automation and systems talking to each other and like workflow tools. And I know a lot of that is already, amazing. And so it's a matter of like broad-based adoption. So, these things can handle like data that needs to be encrypted and, whether you're in an industry that's highly regulated or not, like everybody can easily use it. That's so lowering maybe the barrier to entry. So, more HR organizations or all HR organizations or all organizations can access these sorts of things easily and they're applicable.
Yep. So more accessible tools for automation
And more
and
advanced
data
tools.
analysis.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
more advanced tools for doing things more effectively and at greater scale.
Correct. Because that's going to allow what I think is, truly needed is, space for ideation and creativity and collaboration and partnership and, co everything, co-designing, co-creating, co-selling, whether it doesn't matter if the idea comes from the people ops side or the client facing side of HR, they need to sort of work, hand in glove.
Yeah.
But everyone is often, or it can be an assumption or a broad statement that, folks are so focused on their own, whether it's process execution or day-to-day challenges that, making the space for that kind of work and thinking is challenging.
Sure. I'm curious about your thoughts on this thing, which is me see if I can wrap words around it. A frustration I have with future technology is that we tend to really obsess about short-term returns. And so we tend to think about things like automation far more than we think about augmentation. And there are some challenges within how businesses impact people's lives that aren't simply solved by automation. Like, for instance, we often talk about like a quality of data problem, which is I can come in as an individual person. I've done it hundreds of times. I can talk to different people on your team, and I can start to identify where some real communication problems are happening, where some people are just like not sharing stuff that's creating inefficiencies, where there's like weird resentments happening between certain teams. But like you wouldn't be able to tell that by just like taking a look at the project management or even like the emails going back and forth. I had to go talk to some people. I had to have some conversations to excavate data that wasn't there. And it's a similar thing for like managers. Like you want to create incentives that maximize that somebody is going to stay as long as helpful for the business and that they are going to be productive while they're there. And yet there are some aspects about what that person needs that you can't get from them just filling out surveys for you, that you need to be able to have some conversations. How do we help people within organizations have better conversations?
You do need a human or two, I think, I'm biased, that have the empathy to sort of see and feel that and get the right people around the table and can sort of play broker to, I would say, sort of shepherding folks towards the change and towards those conversations. And, you know, what sometimes it can look like one team has a great idea and they want to like fully bake it and wait until it's perfect and built and show it to another team. And while their idea might be great and their output is like really, really close to good, they didn't involve like the other side to, you know, ask more questions. And sometimes it's someone having the empathy or the open-mindedness or the growth mindset, whatever the right words are, to sort of say, why don't we take this half-baked or not, or at least frame it as, we have this idea. Can we get you to weigh in on it? And that can sometimes soften the blow versus like, we have this very big proposal and here's all this data.
Right.
Or sometimes just showing up and saying, next Tuesday, we're implementing X and we thought we'd give you 4 days notice. So I think you do need a human to think about that and to understand the personalities and to sort of, and understand what struggles and challenges there are day to day amongst teams. Because it's not, you know, that this person doesn't like that person lots of times.
Sure.
It's that people have underlying different priorities and stresses. And if you hopefully come from a place of everyone is doing their best day in and day out, that, you know, I think just some of those underlying empathy-driven thoughts are very helpful.
So if a company or an organization is having challenges around effectiveness of communication, which I would say is about 95% of companies I've ever met, it's what you're saying is it's really, really hard to transform that without having a person that steps up as a leader that is also empathetic, that is able to really lean into trying to model and initiate other ways of communicating.
Yeah, and I think that comes from both being able to like model as a leader and see that and ask really good probing questions, but also not be scared to sort of roll up their sleeves and understand the details to really like, you know, challenge, because there's 3 sides to every story, right? And it's not always what one might say it is, right? Just like a straight interview from a consultant might not surface it either, right? It's really getting into it and getting to the root cause of, you know, why do you not like this? Why do you insist this must happen? What's the, like, let's find some common ground here. Some of this goes back to like basic negotiation skills too.
100%. All right. I'm going to throw a few things in the air that I feel like are related, and I'm not sure. So this might come crashing down. This will be fun for all of us.
Especially me.
Which is, you've spent a lot of time thinking about systems design
Yeah.
and systems that optimize towards the right incentives for the outcomes that you want, and change management, processes for change management, tools and frameworks for really empowering change to be effective and optimized the way you want it to go. Okay, so those are in the air. The other thing I want to throw into the air, you mentioned earlier, you corrected yourself and you said people change to people can evolve.
Mm-hmm.
What did you mean by that? Can people change or do they only evolve?
I think evolve.
What do you mean?
I think you're born with some basic, underlying root personality traits. I'm a mom of small kids. There's some things they did as newborns, and there's some
You've got a
things they're
biology
still
you
doing
come
it
into
now.
this world with.
Yeah. And then there's really well studying humans in a more deep way, but then you absorb all these experiences, lived experiences, and all the programming through whatever culture and part of the world and everything that you grew up with. And then there's the experiences so those are sort of experiences you didn't plan for, because that's what you sort of had. And then there's the experiences that you then choose to associate with and build on top of. And assuming, there's some programming you need to deprogram and work through, which most people do too, you then build on new things. And so it's sort of this just ever-changing, break it apart, put it back together, break it apart, put it back together. And I think that's an evolution.
And so...
Because you're never completely stripping everything down to
Sure.
nothing and building a new house. There's always still some basic foundation that's there, even if you've changed your programming and done all the amazing hard work that everyone's battling every day, one way or the other. It's still an evolution.
So for you, a change would be something that is more comprehensive and complete, like changing a water bottle to an orange. Like,
Yeah.
you can't do that.
Yeah.
But an evolution. So I'll tell you what I really love about that, which is one of the biggest struggles when it comes to mental health is that we all walk around with this inner critic. You might call it like your part X or your inner judge, whatever voice you have for it. It gets trained and reinforced all throughout our lives. And it finds all the little ways that we don't meet the commitments that we expect of ourselves or the things that we think others expect of us, and this inner war that happens within us. And what starts to happen is throughout so many people's lives, so many of the challenges they have with their well-being root down to not being able to accept core aspects of who they are. Thinking that I've got this stuff over here I'm trying to aspire to. I'm trying to be more like this. And forgetting that there's two parts, actually. That you have to integrate, face, and embrace whoever you are, whatever has happened in your life, whatever's here, and then find ways to connect it to where you want to go and who you want to become. But you can't leave it all behind. That's not how human brains work. We're contextual beings. You can't delete anything from our nervous system, but you can recontextualize it.
Yes.
You can add new layers of meaning around it. You can create new connections about how things connect within you. And there's a really interesting parallel to organizations there, which is you can't snap your fingers and change all your processes. There are things that have happened here that need to be acknowledged.
You have to break it apart and put it back together.
Right. So you have to start with what do we have and then build from there. You can't radically just start from scratch. You've already started.
I agree with that.
All right, last question. In a minute or less, how would you describe what you hope to see in the future of work?
I would hope to see ways of collaborating and creating that we don't even understand exist yet. So all the wonderful efficiencies of evolving technology, and then similar to what I said earlier, but really then allowing space for what is left and needed for humans and humanity to manage, that gets to also evolve.
Amen. I'm with you. Thank you. This was so fun.
Same. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for being part of our conversation. Under your seats, you will find a name of a room. The invitation is for you to take about 12 minutes with other folks here and to dive into a conversation about some of what we've talked about here, and then we're going to come back together. That was so fun.
That was so fun. Have you seen Inside Out 2 yet?
No.
Thanks for correcting you live.